And I didn't know him, but he was just so pleased with the report. He said, Doc Saab, you've done a marvelous job, and I want you to go to India
Okay.
at the expense of Government of India as a guest of Government of India.
Okay.
So they had a program called Distinguished Visitor Program. So he sent me there for a week. And during that, obviously, I had the opportunity to meet who's who in health in India.
Okay.
And during that, it became very obvious that there is a real need to have a group or organization which brings these two great nations together
Okay.
and with a focus on health.
Okay.
There is lots happening,
Yeah.
but very little was happening in health.
Okay.
So that was the origin of Canada-India Network Society,
So the
CINS.
Right.
We incorporated that in February 2010.
okay.
And because our focus was health, and in this journey I found, I really didn't appreciate it till then, how big the problem is of chronic diseases in our population, in Indian population, whether we are in India or here. Because as you know, in British Columbia, we are very privileged to have a very large population. And till then, I had a feel for it,
Okay.
or at least had a kind of visual,
Yeah.
but really did not appreciate it, how big that problem is,
Okay.
and lack of real concerted effort to make people aware and do something.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what the origin of Canada-Indian Network Society. Then through my contacts in India, they said, why don't you focus on chronic diseases as a focus? So that's when the first CINI came, Canada-Indian Network Initiative. And as they say, rest is history.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, I know that you're very passionate about helping people with diabetes. So, how big of a problem is diabetes, and how can we prevent?
That's a very, very critical and important question. To put in the context, um, um, uh, I would say right now, as we are talking, you could think of chronic diseases and acute.
Okay.
And most of our effort through hospitals and everything is in what we call acute care.
Okay.
But 80% of the problems are in the community and chronic care.
Okay.
And what we call now, it's called NCD,
Okay.
non-communicable chronic diseases.
Okay.
So these non-communicable chronic diseases are diseases like diabetes, hypertension, dementia, Alzheimer, arthritis, coronary artery disease, and so on, renal disease. So it's and these are the diseases by definition is that you live with them for long period. That's
Okay.
why they're chronic.
Okay.
So that's why there are a lot of people of those. Of all these diseases, diabetes is the mother of all the chronic diseases. As a matter of fact, now there is evidence building that there is a common pathway how other diseases happen because you have problems with glucose. So we were talking about diabetes as the mother of all non-communicable chronic diseases. So science tells us about diabetes that it starts with glucose. And glucose is one of the things we eat in carbohydrates.
Okay.
And in diabetes, insulin, which is the hormone which controls glucose, there is a derangement.
Okay.
And you were asking how big a problem it is. In our community, it's at least 2, if not more, 3 times more prevalent than other European communities. So normally it's about 5%. In our communities, people are saying it could be as high as 10 or 15%
Wow.
of the population. But even bigger issue is what we call pre-diabetes.
Okay.
In other words, you don't have diabetes yet, but you have the potential to become diabetic, but you are starting the biochemical pathways to become diabetic. And that's what I want to share with the listeners and whoever cares about it, that's where you want to stop it. So health promotion and illness prevention is bigger issue than actually when disease happens.
Okay.
So if you could delay the onset of diabetes, if you can get 10 years, 20 years, 30 years of diabetic free, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
For health, for economy, for work productivity and everything. And
For-
that's what my passion is.
Okay.
And I know we have limited time, so what can we do?
Okay.
And I think the answer lies within us.
Right.
And if we go back to our own traditions where we came from, subcontinent, and subcontinent, as you know, had tremendous tradition of Ayurveda, yoga, and that whole Vedic knowledge around health.
Right.
And it talks about diet till cows have come home. So
That's-
diet is the key.
Okay.
And so my message is really diet is what I would say 80% of the problems or solution for having at least delaying onset of diabetes. There are other factors, but diet is the key.
So, what are some of the stuff that people eat is in the diet that they need to reduce, beware of?
Yeah. So in diet, then, and Canada Food Guide accepts that. And
Okay.
most recent Canada Food Guide, if you follow that, you're bang on.
Okay.
And the key point I want to make on diet is a balance between carbohydrates,
Okay.
proteins, and fat.
Okay.
And by very reason I said that, I also say, and this is the key, if you don't remember anything, and that is the key, we do not have balance in our diet between those three things. And we need to bring, and main thing is, we are very rich in carbohydrates.
Okay.
And in carbohydrate is sugar.
Sugar.
So it's as high as 80%. So if don't think of anything, reduce carbohydrates
Okay.
and reduce what we call added sugar.
So, stop eating those laddus and jalebis.
Yeah, well, because there's so much added
Yeah,
sugar.
yeah.
But the first thing to start is do not add sugar. Do not drink soft drinks which are loaded with sugar.
Saturdays at 1:30 p.m., Alive with Aman brings you important conversations with leaders in our communities. Fridays at 8:30 p.m., join Rasta Mike for a look at African and Caribbean culture through music and community events, presented in English.
can read the label, get used to it. In the United States, this is so big that their labels now say added sugar.
Okay.
In Canada, we don't have that. So I would say, in fullness of time, that sugar, added sugar, and
Reduce.
I'm so passionate that I have done some videos on it, which are on YouTube.
Okay.
And people can look at those, and that's 5Ks.
So what is the link for that?
I think on YouTube, Canada India Network Society.
Okay.
If they go, it will be there. So it's about क्या खाते हो, कितना खाते हो, कब खाते हो, क्यों खाते हो, कैसे खाते हो.
ठीक है.
So it's not about so much क्या खाते हो, though I talk about carbohydrates, but all the other things.
Right.
And I think if our people pay attention to that, and if you get a chance to look at those videos, I think you could lower chances, at least you could delay the onset of diabetes.
Thank you. What we will do, we're definitely going to have to bring you back again because, in the Indo-Canadian community, the South Asian community, diabetes is a big issue,
Yeah.
among other things. So I think if we have a little bit more time and zero in some of this, it would be really
Because,
good.
that's my passion. I'm devoting a lot of energy in creating capacity in the community to address this. And all through the community, with the community, by the community.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we've got a few minutes. Let's talk about the big topic these days, the coronavirus.
Yeah. Well, I think we don't have time, and that's not my expertise. But the only thing I want to share with our listeners and viewers is that this is something to be concerned about.
Okay.
It's an infectious agent which is coming. And so that means we don't know how it got there, but it's contaminated and it's spreadable. So the only message I'll give for today is do everything possible to cut down on your chances of infection, getting infection. And the two very simple things available to us, one is wash your hands.
Okay.
So if you're washing a little bit, make sure when you get home, wash your hands before you do anything. Before you start eating, wash your hands. And simple water and soap. You don't have to use alcohol. You don't have to use, just keep it. So that's one.
Okay.
And the other one is people-to-people contact. And the biggest place where that happens is when we meet someone, that first initial handshake. And my solution to that is go back to our roots, and instead of handshake, let's do namaste. And namaste is such a wonderful way of greeting. It has such a deep meaning. Why not even use that?
Yeah. So just go like this, and
Hold your hands,
and then
bring it
that's
to
it.
namaste.
That's it.
And I think that has such a positive vibration that as I'm talking to you, I feel good about. So I think those are the two things.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming to our studio. Your advice is very much received around by viewers, but you know what? I've learned a lot from you as well.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
I appreciate you giving me opportunity to share.
Of course, of course. Well, thank you for tuning in to AAJ Television, and we'll see you next week.
Saturdays at 1:30 p.m., Alive with Aman brings you important conversations with leaders in our communities. Fridays at 8:30 p.m., join Rasta Mike for a look at African and Caribbean culture through music and community events, presented in English.
You didn't live through the 1970s without seeing यादों की बारात. कोई है यहाँ पे जिसने नहीं देखा होगा यादों की बारात? कोई है? उसमें से एक बहुत ही अच्छा गाना है. किसी किनारे मिल जाओ तुम अंधेरे हो जाओ.
Amazing. So again, now I would like to invite Inder and Geeta to give a beautiful song to all of us. Back to back, 2 songs. हम सब कहते हैं बेखुदी में सनम. अब आगे क्या होगा? लूटेंगे ही तो आइए लूटने के लिए तैयार हो जाएं, क्योंकि ये हमें लूटने वाले हैं. And this special song is being requested and sponsored by Ron Basra, the real estate of Surrey.